Welcome to episode 17 of Talk Commerce, where we talk about how merchants, agencies, and developers experience commerce. This week we interview Tadhg Bowe with Monsoon Consulting. We discuss Magento and the state of the Magento community. We discuss Adobe Commerce, and should it be called Magento Commerce? And why did they change the name, and is it confusing? Tadhg pronounces Hoofa in a different way. We have some notable Irish quotes and a good bit of crack. That's fun in Irish. Magento Creative, partnering with the client to help fulfill their strategic growth, serving the world as an Adobe Gold partner and BigCommerce Elite partner. Magento, the code of commerce. This episode is sponsored by eWay Corporation, the partner of choice for technology, infrastructure, and enterprise-level digital solutions. An AWS Select Consulting partner. eWay Corporation, forward together. My name is Brent Peterson, and I'm your host. Please remember to subscribe wherever you download your podcasts. And now, Talk Commerce. All right, welcome to Talk Commerce. Talk Commerce. Talk Commerce. Okay, sorry about that. Today I have Tadhg, and this would be a great episode just to go over name pronunciations. But Tadhg, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and make sure that I've said your name correctly?
Yeah, this is one of those great Irish names. So Tadhg, yeah, it's a really old Irish name, and nobody gets it right unless you're from Ireland, really. So yeah, the spelling of it is Tadhg, and you're probably going, oh my God, what? Tadhg? Yes. So to pronounce my name, forget about the spelling. It's like tiger without the so it's Tadhg. But yeah, there you go. What else can I say?
Not super. Thank you. Yeah, love it. I won't even go into mispronunciations because I will do it over and over again, and then at home tonight I'll get slapped in the back of the head for mispronouncing your name,
Yeah.
like I've done with Yissa, and I still,
Oh
because I
yeah,
put
yeah.
it in, I imprinted in my head, I still say it wrong.
I know, I know. Look, my next door neighbor still gets my name wrong, and he's lived beside me for 7 years. So it goes over my head. I moved to the UK from Ireland in 1998. So I've been here nearly 23 years, and I meet guys in the village, and they go, I don't know how to say your name. But yeah, you
I
get
think
used
it.
to
Yeah, everybody in the UK still says wrench wrong, so whatever. Or windshield. All right, so let's accelerate to the next part of this program. Um, uh, how are things? How are things in the Magento community? Um, what
it. Yeah,
what is,
so it's been, look, I'm sure you're having this conversation with everyone. It's been a crazy year, hasn't it? On so many levels. Um, for me, the Magento community, yeah, look, we've kept it going. There's been online events and stuff like that, but I really, really miss the physical event at this stage. I kind of a couple of months ago I joined an online event, and I found myself just drifting away. It wasn't that the content was poor or anything. I just went, God, I'm tired of online a little bit. I want to walk into a building again and shake hands with people again. So um, yeah, like when we look at the community, we're still pretty good. I think the Magento Association, they did a nice Connect event. We've obviously just come off Summit, um, which I totally missed. So I have to. That's an interesting question, Brent. If you miss an event, do you go and look at the recordings?
I do try to look at some of the highlighted recordings, maybe some recordings that people have said, "Oh, this is you can't miss this one." So
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell, a lot of people. I missed his actual talk, but since it's all recorded, I went back and watched it.
Yeah, they're always on my to-do list, but it's just one thing to another. Like e-commerce is crazy. This is the busy time of the year, isn't it? So people come out of the new year and you go right, uh, especially now with, on the back of COVID, like e-commerce is it it's gone a bit bonkers. I think people are going a bit COVID mad, even though they never had COVID. It's just the pressures in e-commerce right now. I'm sure you're seeing it as a solution partner. Some unrealistic goals being set and stuff. But yeah, that's where we are. It's busy time in e-commerce.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I guess I did have somebody on that said if you're a Magento developer right now and you're unemployed, then there's something dreadfully wrong with you as a developer, which I think is the wrong thing to say. Maybe you just would like some time off. But if you are
Yeah,
looking for a job, this would be the right time to find a job as a Magento developer.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, definitely. So I made the step away from developing back at the end of 2018 um, to become a Magento solution specialist. What in the name of God is that? You might be crying out, and uh, I still don't know the answer. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. But as a developer right now, yeah, the Magento developers are highly sought after. Um, and yeah, we're always on the lookout.
I would argue that the job or the role of solution specialist is the most important role in any e-commerce business, especially from the agency side. If you set up your project from simply a technical standpoint, you will have an engineer who over engineers the project and will oftentimes completely miss what the client would like at the end. uh,
Yeah,
and they may not also, not a single developer may miss some nuances or other things that would be a requirement or not a requirement in any given project.
yeah.
And I feel though that, and I always felt that this job as solution specialist is is the most important thing that you can do to frame and start your project.
No, no, totally. No, totally. And my role has evolved very quickly since I took it on. But to have an overall picture of the project and almost sitting semi on the client side and what are they expecting. Um, Sometimes, yeah, developers, they have the blinkers on and they go, right, I'm on this epic now and I've got this, this is the way I see it. But but there's a whole lot of bunch of other stuff that needs to be thought about. And yeah, it's quite an important role.
Because
Um,
I'm interested in how how as a in your role now, how does that sort of week to week look, not day to day, but week to week? And then how do you interact with merchants to help them better understand their projects during that time period? Or in
yeah,
those little instances, so just say week to week or bi-weekly.
yeah. So like I have to admit the last couple of months I've had my head down. We started a new project, and it's very much the solution specialist comes in right at the beginning of a project, even part of pre-sales. Um, Understanding exactly what the client needs and coming up with that solution for them, because it's part of the quote process. And if they're happy with that, but then immediately after that, you've got that discovery phase. Now, discovery phase, we've had all sorts of ideas around discoveries and what's the best way of doing discovery. Um, and initially, originally we used to have these big long discoveries, but Jesus, by halfway through, everyone's fed up of it, and nobody has all the answers at the start of a project. So but a solution specialist is really important at the beginning to potentially break it down and say, look, okay, we need to get the project started. It'd be good to have milestones, and clearly you don't have all the answers now. Nobody has all the answers now. So it's coming at right stage of projects to be able to go, right, now we've hit that milestone. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that we didn't know at the beginning of the project. Because you know as well as I do, projects evolve even over a space of 3-4 months, project changes. Um, but from a week to week, oh Jesus, it varies. As a solution specialist, I thank God we have so many brilliant technology partners nowadays. E-commerce it's a big subject. It's not just about, click on a product and go to the basket page and off to the checkout and buy, and that's the end of it. Like, there's so much other stuff that's going on. There's a whole industry around the thank you page. So it's having technology partners. It's impossible to be an expert in everything. It's impossible to be a solution specialist in every single element of e-commerce. So that's why we rely on technology specialist partners. Your recommenders or your chats or your search, whoever it may be. So they all play a very important part. So for me, it's very much fitting all the pieces of the jigsaw together. You know, we'll have technology partners coming to us going, "Oh, who can we introduce?" and all this stuff, and I'm going, I'm not going to introduce you unless it's right, and that's the way it works. So that's part of my role, is to kind of keep an eye on the technology side, because it's, you know, Magento, as we know, or sorry, should we call it Adobe Commerce or Magento Open Source or whatever? I don't know what we call it nowadays, but um, the platform is, we know, is good, uh, but we fit in lots of other stuff around it, and it's very easily extendable, which is great.
Yeah, so a couple of things out of that, unpacking what you've just said. Um, the first thing is, how do you deal with a client who looks at you as the expert of all, but you can't be, and then you have a partner who makes a decision that turns out to be incorrect? Or maybe a better way to look at it would be, how do you educate the client in advance that you can't be an expert at all and you do rely on these partners, and sometimes they're fallible?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I like to think, we've not had that many occasions where we pull in a technology partner and it doesn't work out. Um, Sometimes there's maybe a financial reason, or it was a great idea at the time and they explored it, but then, you know, a couple of years on, a new e-commerce manager comes in on a client side and decides to do a full review of everything, and then looks at the stats and goes, that that didn't quite work out for us. So we're going to drop that one and move to something else. So I, I, it's not a, you know, you, we know, a lot of solution partners out there have accelerator products, and we'll get you up and running in 2 months, and we'll throw this, that, and the other onto your site, and everything will be grand. Um, that's not necessarily the right way of doing it. You should really only introduce external technology partners once you know it's the right fit, and it's definitely for them. Like, we're having a conversation right now with in a new project around shipping, and it's complex. So is it going to be, the shipper HQ, or is it going to be ERP integration to pull out the correct ship? It's all up in the air, but there's no correct answer at the beginning. You have to work through those workshops. Um, so I'd like to think, so we collaborate an awful lot more, and once we know it's the right decision, then hopefully that's it moving forward. We don't experience too many painful moments later on.
Yeah, so the second part of that original question, or the second part of your original monologue, was around the partners and introducing partners to clients. And we have a partner manager, and she struggles all the time with partners saying, "Oh, I want to meet every single one of your clients." And the partner manager will say, "Well, you can't meet everybody. Let's figure out a way to connect you to." What is it that you do to better introduce them to the client, and is there some criteria that you do within that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're probably not as good at this as we should be. Uh, on paper, I look after the kind of technology partners, but I don't have as much time as I'd like to. And we get that too. Our technology partners come to us and go, here's, who are your clients and who can we be introduced to? And I don't like that. I don't like the just for the sake of it, because we've signed an agreement to partner together, which is wonderful, but I'm only going to introduce you to the people who I believe things will work out here. Because if you just introduce them to everybody and then suddenly they go in with somebody and it's not quite working and it's wasn't quite clear what it was all about at the start, then yeah, you're gonna you might your reputation might be damaged a little bit. So it is hard. It is hard. There's no way I'd introduce a technology partner to just do a blanket introduction. No, definitely pick and choose. Um, we don't have hundreds of clients, so it's not a it's not a feast in our world, but it's great having them, and knowing that we can call upon them when needed. Um,
Yeah, I think sometimes the partners think that we're this sort of um, platform that has thousands and thousands of clients, and they're going to just come in and have just clear pickings. And I do explain to them that we only have so many team members, and typical projects take this much time, which means we can only turn around so many projects in a year, which means that there's only going to be this many potential leads for you.
yeah,
And if you're basing this whole thing on what are the potential leads rather than what is the right solution for the right client, then I don't think it's a good relationship.
yeah, yeah. No, exactly. And it's down to dozens. We don't. It's not the hundreds at all for a lot of solution partners, regardless of whether you're gold, silver, or bronze. Um, but for example, we have a couple of really nice B2B clients. They don't need, they hardly need any of the technology partner stuff out there because they're so bespoke to begin with, and to try and shoehorn them in and you go, oh, you mean you don't handle price books or you don't do this or that and the other. And you go, it's too hard at the start even. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, so let's move on to there's two programs. Well, there's two parts of Magento that I want to talk about specifically. The first one is the accelerator or the rapid RDP, rapid deployment program that Adobe has. And I would just kind of like to touch in on B2B because I think that is such a specific market, and there is so many people that in the marketing world say they are specifically B2B, but I think RDP is something that is such a topic right now. I'm looking for some of your insight in that.
Accelerator, yeah. I think there are more accelerators on the market now than hot dinners. Uh, you know, I think you guys probably were one of the first on the bandwagon of the accelerator at Magento, but the rest of us are a bit slow to catch up. But it's I have to say, we at Monsoon Consulting, yes, we also have an accelerator product. which sits on top of commerce and open source, and but it has been one of the best projects I've been involved with. We internally have R&D the department. Everybody gets to be part of R&D. We have in Ireland, there's a wonderful organization called Enterprise Ireland, and they support R&D projects. So we kind of go away and we kind of, not that it funds this kind of accelerator solution that we've built, but it just gives us that little bit of initiative that we need. And it's been amazing. It's totally transformed how we develop stuff. So again, we looked at accelerator, but it quickly actually evolved into a solution. So based on all the stuff that we did for other clients, we went, well, why can't we recreate that in a more generic form and serve it as an accelerator? So it's yeah, we'll advertise it. Oh, we'll have you online in 6 to 8 weeks, no problem. But as well as I do, projects are complex. Data migration could take 3 months alone. So it's not as simple as that. However, it is good to have them. I think yeah, there's a plentiful supply of them, but I'm proud of our team. Actually, it's been a great project for us to build a proper solution. So a lot of extra features that are not necessarily available in the marketplace. So it's been yeah, it's been very good.
And so is this the accelerator that you hinted to prior to our interview, or is there another part of accelerator that you wanted to talk about?
Oh no, yeah. Look, we call it Apex. That's the name of our accelerator solution. It's yeah. Look, it sits on top of Adobe Commerce B2B, and then we also have like another Apex Lite, if you want to call it, that sits on top of open source. But that R&D, that like our front end guys are. I don't know how much you've jumped into the likes of Hiva and stuff.
Hoofa.
Hoover.
Did you say Hiva?
Is it Hoover?
Hoova. Haifa.
Hiva. What's the correct pronunciation of it?
We don't know. Nobody knows, actually. Not even Willem knows. And I'm going to actually, I do have an interview coming up with Willem.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
going to try to
exactly.
get down to it. There should
I
be a
call it
source of
Hiva.
truth for all this.
Yeah, I call it Hiva, but yeah, but that's like a very exciting project. The whole headless stuff, and our front end team are mad to be working on it. So it's great to have the R&D side of it, so that we can allocate some time to look at it and maybe down the road contribute to it.
Yeah. So uh, just touching on B2B and Hoofa, Hoofa, Hifa, Hifa, Haifa. Um, we are embracing it as well, and I am going to start arguing for the idea that this project should be open source. And I don't know how we can all help InterNet fund part of it, but like we're doing a B2B project right now, and our initial goal was to do the Haifa theme, but we're finding there's so many things that need to be developed for B2B
Yeah.
that it is it is getting a little bit more expensive than we first thought. And if we're going to do all that work, wouldn't it be great if we could give that work back, and then we all share in that work? And just think of the collective involved in that around trying to build out something that's more community oriented rather than a paid version of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be wonderful if it was. I was kind of expecting Adobe to buy it, but it's Yeah, I think open source would be great for it. The B2B side, yeah, I think B2B is still that's still being developed. Um, I think primarily it was, you know, when it launched, it was like B2C, but there's a lot of community support for it.
Yeah, no,
And
I 100% agree. I just think the whole project, if it was put out as open source, would accelerate faster.
yeah,
Use the
we
buzzword.
we just need a multimillionaire to come in and thank IntegerNet, thank Willem, pay them, give them a handsome reward, and then push it all open source. It's yeah, it's a great project, and it just shows what can be done. You know, the guy, the Williams is a genius and a great guy behind it. So, fair play. They're a great company in I have to say that they're full respects to them.
Yeah, and going to their unconf
Oh,
is such a
lads.
fun experience, and I am very much looking forward to the day we can go to that again.
Yeah. So to anyone who's listening, this conference, it's in Cologne in Germany. It's normally in autumn, early winter, November, October, November. It's called Magon Conference, and it is an on conference. It's totally it's you know the talks are decided that morning. You vote for the talks you want. It's a brilliant event. You know, I've been I'm lucky enough to be in there twice, and I can't wait to go back. Even though I don't develop anymore, it's for everybody. It's so informal. It's so just relaxed, but yet you pick up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and they cap the amount of attendees at 120 or something like that. And I thought
Yeah.
that I went in 2019. I think we were both there. The brothers from Shopware were there, and they put up a topic, which I think is the ultimate. It shows how strong the community is that other platforms would come and join this conference.
Oh yeah. Look, and there's no, you know, just because you could be God in Magento and walk in, and if you don't put a topic up that's interesting, you're not going to get voted for. You know, there's there's no favors or no backhands in this conference. It's all it's yeah it's a pretty cool event, and that's what I miss. I miss the physical stuff. I miss I'm a I love attending these events. I like putting away the laptop and just being with people. uh, I'm sure you miss that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on the topic of putting away your laptop, you are a strong believer and proponent of No Mage Sundays, and I'm assuming you don't stop working on Magento and start working on Shopify. I'm assuming it's just a get disconnected and don't do any Magento work or work in
It's
general on Sundays. Where did that come from?
yeah it just I I've just I've actually stepped back a bit from social media recently. I kind of just I don't know whether it's a post COVID. I'm just a bit tired of everything, but um, I lack a bit of motivation sometimes now. I kind of I've just been in this kind of long winter of restrictions and kind of can I do stuff again? Oh, I'm not. I couldn't be arsed. Um, but yeah, I just noticed like people who are busy and posting up stuff at the weekends, and I'm going, Jesus, dude, people ever take a rest? So that hash no Magento Sunday came into my mind because it was so important for me to try and switch off. Now, I am a bit of a workaholic, I have to say. If my wife Anna walked into the room and go, "You never stop," but uh, I do try, and we had a godsend last October in our house. We received a new puppy, and we've not had a dog in our house before. So it's my wife and two children, and he has transformed my my time away from this thing called a laptop. It's been amazing. you know, just mental health. You know, I'm big into music and just listening. Anna and I listen to a lot of music. Just to get away for a walk, even if it's just 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. Um, but the weekends on Sunday now, we like to do a long walk. That's great. It brings the family together. So, so yeah, it's important to get away. I think people, you know, I'm as bad as anyone else. I'll, you know, I work remotely, as does everybody. You know, you get distracted during the day and you go, oh, I'll come back to that later on. Suddenly the laptop is out at 9 o'clock at night and you're at it till 10:30. It's, I fall foul to it a lot. And I just go, God, that's got to stop. Very
Yeah.
hard.
One thing I did a number of years ago was say when I get home at 5 p.m. or whatever time I get home from work, I'm not turning my laptop back on simply because I know that I am going to get sucked into that. And we have people that work in different time zones and they're going to want to start chatting. And then how do you get off and say, hey, it's 8:30 and it's already my bedtime. I would like to go to bed now. Number one, it's embarrassing to say 8:30 is my bedtime. But number two, I'd rather not be online talking to somebody. I'd rather be, you know, having a pint or something like that.
Yeah. But it never stops. And it's, you know, we are in a very, very busy time. You know, all e-commerce platforms are, you know, out the door with inquiries. We're all busy, and it's never going to stop. You know, there's always going to be the next thing that has to be done urgently, uh, and so you might as well just draw a line somewhere and go, well, it's just going to have to wait. And this is something I've noticed is this trend of, because e-commerce is, you know, 24/7, 365, you know, but that doesn't mean our development team is available 24/7. And, you know, getting an email at, you know, 5 o'clock in the evening going, oh, can we push that live? Go, no, hold on. You have to reset here a little bit. It doesn't always work like that. Uh, Fair enough. If you've got developers in different time zones who can potentially come in and do stuff at different times, that's great. And yeah, like we're the same as you. You know, we've got developers in Brazil and Ukraine, and so we're spread out a bit so we can cover it. But Jesus, it becomes it's quite intense at times.
Yeah,
It's a,
and you know, going back to the solution specialist role, and there's a proper name for this. I'm forgetting it right now. It turned into Adobe Superhuman Bowling Pint Drinking Expert, I think is the proper
yeah,
term.
yeah, I like
Um,
that.
all of those things, just like that, hey, let's push this code at 5 p.m. That should all be planned. And if you have a team overseas that can do that at 5 p.m. their time, great. But you know, there it should never be a surprise. There should never be an emergency client phone call at 7 p.m. at night to push some code live unless they're doing some album drop on Instagram that they're planning on getting 30,000 visitors on
Yeah,
Friday morning or whatever time it is. All that should be scheduled in advance. And part of that does rest on the solution provider to understand the roadmap and the architecture, but also it rests on the project manager to educate the client that there is no such thing as there's an emergency at 5 o'clock at night, especially if it's not a production down emergency.
yeah. And it's a lot of the time, you know, it's when you look at the client, they're under resourced as well. You know, they've got a small e-commerce team, and you know they're under a lot of pressure. You know, suddenly, you know, all the board of directors out there that run these companies are going, "Oh, e-commerce is booming. I read this article yesterday, and you know they went up 600%. Why are we?" It's like, Jesus Christ, it could be too demanding. We need to be, yeah, we are, we're here for a good time, not a stressful time.
Um, one thing that I always enjoy with you at conferences, listening to you speak and the way you tell stories. How are you? Well, I personally believe that that's an Irish trait, that Irish are inherently good storytellers. I will also preface that Irish are storytellers, and if you've seen Dairy Girls, there's a character in Dairy Girls who is a person who tells stories that aren't entertaining, but still they're a story. So I guess it could go both ways.
Yeah,
Um, how are you fulfilling some of that storytelling um, tasks
yeah,
or inner?
it's mad, isn't it? Like I absolutely love storytelling, you know, and it's one of my it's at the minute I'm mad into music, just listening to music. But on my to-do list, on my task list, is to just go back and read up about Irish storytelling, you know, proper old Irish stories. You know, and it's part of my upbringing. You know, I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Ireland, and you know, I can remember all my neighbors. You know, they would come to help on the farm, and then you know they would stay on after dinner in the evening, and they start storytelling. You know, and then you know now the stories got better and better as the whiskey bottle you know reduced in in volume as it became more empty. But it just goes in. So maybe I'm born with it. I don't know, something in my genes about a story. But yeah, I love telling stories, and you know, sometimes a bit of comedy in there as well. Um, but yeah, it's uh, if you know you go and you see all these talks and you know when you go to conferences and stuff, and I always think it's a brilliant way to start a talk, to just you know take them away from the topic, because they could be just have come from another talk that's around the same. You know, you just go, oh, he's talking about something else, um, totally unrelated. I think it's a good thing to do. I think if you watch Brent, if you watch my talk from Imagine in 2018, you might notice I finished with something rather spectacular, which was very different at the time.
All right, 2018. Imagine. Are those? I mean, I think one of the problems that I've seen that the switch from Magento to Adobe is some of that content is disappearing, and it's kind of frightening. All the
Yeah.
master spotlights, half of them are gone right now.
Okay. I wasn't aware. I assumed there was an archive. Um, but
We'll
anyway,
have to investigate that because I do feel like that content is valuable and I don't know how to find it. But
yeah,
yes, I'll look you up for. You had a very funny story at Mage Titans in 2019 or 2018
I
in
did.
Manchester.
Oh God, no! I think that could be 2016 or 2017. It's
Could be.
it's kind of it's going. Oh my God, is it that? I think it could be 16. Yeah, I think it could be
Yeah,
five
I didn't
years.
go to Mage Titans in Manchester then, but it was sooner. But regardless, you're. I would encourage everybody to see you speak in public, and uh, and maybe we'll have you back on the show and read the first chapter of Ulysses or something. That would be very
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Well, I just think it's you know we live in you know what's supposed to what seems like a very serious world, and we've all had a quite a tough year of it. So you know when you go on stage, you know this all stems from my wife who was a frontline paramedic, and you know when she was training, um, she came up home with some real stories. You know some of the experiences that she had to do, and there was one particular day where this woman was dying in front of her, and it was tough. It was tough, and she dealt with it. And she came home, and she was in floods of tears. Guess what I was doing at that moment in time? I was actually worrying about a cron job, not running on a site. So it just put it all into perspective for me, you know. And I often say this to myself when I'm, you know, there's all sorts of things happening. Is anybody actually going to die over this? And the answer is no. You know, sorry to end it on that somber note, but it's true though. So we do have to lighten up a bit, and you know, as I said to the guys in this project, you know, let's try and make it a bit of fun. Um, Sometimes it's hard to see that when you're just so focused on you know, in particular bits and bobs, but overall it's yeah, it's trying to enjoy the experience. And that's why I miss physical events, because you get to give somebody a hug. Oh my God, what's it gonna be like to give somebody a hug again?
Soon and very soon.
Yes, please
Yeah,
God.
and I think that you bring up a really good point about the work environment and making sure people are healthy and happy, and the pressure that's put on people to do something outside of their work hours, or make sure you've done every single minute and every single moment of your day is logged, or whatever that topic is that puts pressure on the developers and everybody else in that project, only creates a very unhealthy environment. And at the end, I think it delivers a product that isn't as good as a product that's delivered by a happy team.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like, what's the point? What's the point if it's going to be stressful all the time? If it's going to be a high pressure environment? If it's, you know, we have like a quarterly um, all hands, we call it, where, you know, the whole company gets together, everyone dials in, and, you know, a couple of people do a presentation about, you know, something really cool they worked on. And then, you know, our CEO Brat will come in, and he keeps re-emphasizing the fact that, you know, okay, at the end of the day, we're all still human. You know, we you know, he doesn't want all this stressful environment and push all this stuff. You know, got to strike a happy balance. You know, sometimes, yes, there will be a little bit of pressure with stuff, but it's all in the planning. You know, if it's all done well in advance, and client expectations are right, yeah, you can do it. So yeah, but sometimes, yeah, as we know, it's easier said than done.
My first talk that I gave in public in the Magento community was at Magento Live Germany in 2014, and I did this talk around project management expectations, and it was specifically for developers to help. No, I'm sorry, it was specifically for merchants to help them understand what developers are going through in their projects, that developers have certain ways of doing things, project managers, and that merchants also should understand that this is a partnership, and that between the merchant and the agency, or merchant the developer, there's certain expectations that should be met, and those are going to be met with lots of communication. And well, number one, I tried to tell some jokes in Germany, and it fell flat on my face. I'm realizing though, after 7 or 8 years of giving talks in public, that it doesn't matter where my audience is, all my jokes fall flat. So I've resigned to just telling bad jokes, and not worrying about getting any reaction. But
Yeah,
what I did learn out of that first talk was there was many more developers that were interested in the topic than the merchants. So I made this topic about the merchant for the merchant, and all the questions I got after the talk were from developers, not even from project managers, from developers that were working on their own, saying to themselves, "Oh, I never thought about that fact that the merchant would like to know something in advance," or "the merchant needs this," or "we should be planning this whole thing out, and let's do some checkpoints within that project to make sure that we're on track to meet those goals. And if we're not, let's redo it, and or redo our plan so everybody's expectations are in line."
yeah. The biggest, I suppose, not that we receive many complaints, but if we were to receive a complaint from a client or merchant, it's around communication. It's always around communication, and sometimes, you know, the silence. You know, stuff could be happening. Loads of stuff could be happening in the background, but they're just not being kept up to date. and that's the worst for any client or merchant is the fact that they don't know what's going on. Even if it's, you know, there's no update, we're still working on it, is better than nothing at all. So it's, yeah, there's education of, you know, all of the team involved. Like, you know, what, I can't believe it, Brent. You actually let developers speak to your clients? Are you sure about that? I'm
Yeah.
not.
All right, so we have about 10 minutes left. Do you have any quotes you'd like to tell us today, or tell me what books you're reading right now?
Do you know what? I'm brutal at for reading. I just don't do it. I don't do enough of it. I try, um, but at the minute it's music for me. But I have a great little book actually. I was telling you about this on the build up to today. It's a little book of quotes, uh, and some of them are brilliant. And it kind of, every now and again I just open it up and I read a few of them. But I have a couple I'll read out, and maybe I'll tell that story from Mage Titans after it. Um, but this one is, it's an Irish toast, and this is how it goes. May the roof above us never fall in, and may we, as friends gathered below, never fall out. But that that sums it up for me.
That's
You know,
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
if I go to a conference, you know, I might walk in and say that in my mind. I might just go, yeah, this is good. I'm with my friends again, and I look forward to that day when we're all back together under one roof. Um, Here's another one, a little bit more. I have to think about this a little bit more, but um, blessed is he who expects nothing, for he shall never be disappointed. Oh, so there you go. Um, there's a great one in here. If you're lucky enough to be Irish, then you're lucky enough.
I've definitely heard that one before.
Yeah. And I'll finish with this one. Um, an Irishman was asked if the Irish always answered one question with another, and he replied, "Who told you that?" So
Yes.
it's like I could go on now and do more of these, but yeah, I think I was chatting to Segmentify recently, and they were asking me about stuff, and I came out with this quote. This is a good one. This is a good one for, you know. I definitely wish I'd done this more. I said this more to myself when I was a developer. Uh, Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible.
Yeah,
So
very good.
yeah. So yeah, that's about it from me really. Um, yeah. So how are things with you, Brent?
Very good. Thank you. Things are moving. We have a new puppy. His name is Finn. We were going to name it Finbar or Finnegan, but Finn is much easier to say. Little known fact, in 1996, I opened a retail shop on in Ireland, in Dublin, on uh, selling computers. So ran that for about a year. I
Wow.
lived there for maybe 6 months, and we had very young children at the time. And the Irish weather did get me down. I think I started there, living there maybe in November. Really tough time. It's different if you live in Minnesota in November. You know it's going to be cold, and we have really good heat. And then it doesn't rain. It's just plain old cold, and I can deal with that. But anyways, uh, I appreciate I appreciate the Irishness and the Irish stories, and I have very
Yeah.
fond memories about that.
The Irish weather is, it can get to you. I know we have we have a couple of new project managers from South Africa, and they moved over to Dublin. Oh Jesus, yeah, they're feeling it now. They're going, when's summer kick in? I go, you might not see a summer, my friend.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
summer. What are you talking about?
yeah, you could have 4 seasons in one day quite regularly in Ireland. But yeah, it like my wife, she'd love to move to the southwest of Ireland, West Cork, and where her dad lives there at the moment. And Jesus Christ, we've never ever gone there, and it hasn't pissed rain. It's just and they live on this kind of a hill, and oh my God, it beats in off the roof. You can't sleep at all hardly. So yeah, Ireland. So that's why I moved to the UK. I live in the southeast of England, in the Surrey Hills, and Brent, you know where I live very well.
Yeah, it's very lovely. You're in the sunny south.
Yes, sunny southeast. Yeah, it's yeah, it's very, we're not too far away from France here, so we get some of that lovely French summer weather our direction. Although I have to say, the last month has been shocker. It's reminded me of home. So
I think it's going to rain in England almost as much as it rains in Ireland, regardless.
yeah,
So I don't think you can
well,
get away from that.
it's really interesting because you have what's called the Gulf Stream. So you have all these weather fronts that roll in across Ireland, and they do a roll across, but they hit northern England. It's a very much a Welsh to northern England, Scotland thing. Um, but the southeast just it's because of this Gulf Stream, it kind of just misses it. There's a slight gap. So quite regularly it can be 4 or 5 degrees warmer in the southeast of England than it is in northern England, um, and definitely 4 or 5 degrees warmer than Ireland, which is a big difference because there's a big difference, as you know, between uh, oh crikey, I can't do Fahrenheit, sorry, but in Celsius between 17 and 22, 23, big difference there.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially from a field. My son always says Fahrenheit's better for humans because there's a broader range of how it feels on your
Yeah,
skin, and definitely Celsius is better for
but
mathematicians.
the big question is, if we get back to physical events, will you be going to Summit next year?
I'm already planning the Big Dam Run 2022. It'll be our 10th year, so absolutely I am
Oh,
going.
isn't it?
Yeah, Big
Yeah,
Dam Run, perfect for all of our listeners who are not seeing the video. Tyke
yeah,
has the Dam Run shirt on.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I had mine on yesterday, so
Okay, yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be all over it. That was one of the highlights for me. Obviously getting to Las Vegas, I'd never been before, but just doing the Big Dam Run because I don't run, um, and I set out to do the 5K, and I ended up doing 10K. Now I stopped and I walked and I ran a bit and I walked, but I just loved it so much. I wanted to spend the whole day there. Now I was fairly thirsty by the end of it. I have to say, it was roasting hot, but it was an amazing experience, and fair play, Brent, for starting that because it will always be a highlight for me.
yeah, I think from a community standpoint, the Big Dam Run, if you look at it, there's no commercial aspect to it. It is really just a community event.
No,
And I know the pressure for doing events is always how do you pay for it? So the I believe that there is a place for community, and it doesn't have to be commercial. It doesn't have to be a selling point. You don't have to have some payment provider selling you on
no,
something, on some droning on uh, topic or whatever. It's just the time to relax, get out, be in the outdoors, enjoy
yeah,
the desert.
and even the bus journey out. I remember I sat at the back of the bus, and there was a couple beside me, and we were all pretty quiet because it was early, I have to say, and I did not have much sleep before before that bus journey. But anyway, that's my own fault, of course. But there was a couple beside me, and we kind of got chatting, and then I kind of bumped into them a couple of times during the conference. It was just kind of a hello. And then on that final night, the big party, I was walking around and they were sitting down beside the pool. And I sat down beside them and had a great chat with them. And I just went, well, that kind of sums it up for me, from the start of an event where I kind of sheepishly sat beside somebody to the end of the event where we're chatting like we've known each other a long time. And that is absolutely brilliant. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea and not everybody is outgoing and stuff like that. But I'd like to think we have made Magento events welcoming for everybody. And it's not a clique. We really do want to see lots of new people, and I know that the association are working hard on that, and we will continue to work on that. I had chats of that, imagine, with people. I don't remember the chats, but I remember having chats with people like into like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning about developing stuff. It was it was amazing.
All right, so we are out of time now. At the end of these shows, I always like to give you a chance to do a shameless plug about something. So go ahead and tell us about whatever you'd like to tell us about.
I don't want to plug. I just look, if anybody listening to this is still listening to it, fair play to you for listening to a bunch of old geezers, two old geezers here, chatting for what is it, nearly an hour now. But for me, yeah, just take care of yourself. When it comes to the weekend, try and switch off. If there's the stuff like I've reinvented, not reinvented, but I've taken up golf again. You know,
Wow.
my children are now at the age where they don't really want to know me anymore. So I went, you know what? I have to get away from this thing called laptop. So I go, well, why don't I try something that I've always loved again? Because I dropped it while the kids were little and stuff. So so yeah, maybe there's something out there for you. Explore new ideas, but please God, wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay healthy, and be good.
Thank you.
Maybe,
And
maybe one more quote. Have we
all right,
time for
go for
one
it.
more quote?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Oh yeah, this is a good one actually. So rule number one is don't sweat about the small stuff. Rule number two is it's all small stuff.
I've heard that one as well. That's a very good one. Um,
Yeah.
I am going to, I know we're completely out of time, but I'm going to give my little shameless plug here. We are planning a community event in January of 2022 in Orlando, Florida. I would like you to help me promote this event. It will be a Magento hackathon in Orlando, and Orlando is another place that has a theme park in it. So it's like Las Vegas for families and people that like theme parks, and there happens to be a lot of theme parks. So again, Adobe slash Magento slash some kind of little mini conference. Maybe that's where the Mage Unconf Disney should be. But I am I am working on this idea to do this event in Orlando. It'll be a non-commercial event. It'll be all around community and building that community. So
Yeah. Yeah, no,
eh,
I have to thank the community for, I wouldn't be talking to you now if it wasn't for a community. I'm not on the back of anything commercial at all. It's just, yeah, events and supporting and meeting people. It's and fair play to you, Brent. Keep it going. Well done.
yeah, thank you. So last and one last thing, I know I'll just keep saying one last thing, but I feel like we need to have a Magento puppy hashtag or Magento dog. I'm proponent of either puppy Magento, hashtag puppy Magento, and we should have a day where we push our puppy pictures out. I've already chosen Monday for my regular Magento photos, and we'll start seeing some of those coming out. But let's pick a day for puppy Magento,
Yeah,
and we have to
okay.
pick a hashtag. So I need your help in this. So after this, I'm gonna tweet out that we need to have this, and I have literally hundreds of pictures of dogs right now. So I have such a huge library that I need to publish. That it's gonna just this is gonna be one of the most important things that I've done in a long time.
Could well be. It's yeah, I've got plenty of photos as well. Although our puppy is no longer a puppy. He's as I say in Ireland, he's a brat. He's turned into a bit of a mischief little boy. Uh, but never a dull moment. Yeah.
All right,
Good stuff.
Tadhg Bowe, thank you so much for this time. It's been very good and very entertaining, and I appreciate it. We should do a follow up on some tech topic, maybe, or something like that, if you're interested.
Yeah, I'd like to talk more B2B. Some of the
All right.
B2B stuff out there is quite interesting and where it's going around self-serve and things like that. Yeah, it's quite an exciting area. Oh, exciting? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
really exciting.
maybe that's a bit too much, but yeah, remain optimistic.
Cheers. Bye.
All the best.
Magento Creative, partnering with the client to help fulfill their strategic growth, serving the world as an Adobe Gold partner and BigCommerce Elite partner. Magento, the code of commerce. This episode has been sponsored by the partner of choice for technology, infrastructure, and enterprise-level digital solutions, an AWS Select Consulting partner, eWay Corporation, Forward Together. Thank you again for listening. My name is Brent Peterson, and it has been my pleasure to be your host today. Please rate and subscribe to Talk Commerce. New shows out every week.